Direct News TV. November 28, 2023. Israel-Hamas war live, Palestinian prisoners welcomed home. The Red Cross says it has successfully facilitated the release and transfer of 11 Israeli captives held in Gaza. 3 Palestinian women and 30 children were freed from Israeli prisons in the fourth exchange since the Gaza truce came into effect last week. Israel reports temporary disruption of emergency phone services. According to Israeli media reports, several emergency hotline numbers were briefly disrupted overnight, including those belonging to paramedic services as well as the fire brigade emergency. The police said the disruption was due to an unspecified temporary error, according to the Times of Israel and other news outlets, which reported the disruption. Essential services in Israel, such as Magen David Adom, MDA, police, and the fire department are all down amid a malfunction due to a potential cyber attack, the Jerusalem Post said in a post on X, although proof of an actual cyber attack was not immediately established. The MDA is Israel's national emergency medical, disaster, ambulance and blood bank service. Reports said some authorities were still reachable via backup numbers despite the disruption, which lasted for about an hour. Israeli military spokesman says Hamas captives not lost, in apparent jab at Irish PM. Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari has said that citizens being held by Hamas are not lost, in an apparent jab at the Irish Prime Minister. Our hostages are not lost, we won't sit around and hope they are found, Hagari said during a briefing on Monday. We will rescue our hostages at all costs. It is our duty, it is our moral responsibility. Hagari's comments come on the heels of a diplomatic row centered around Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar's response to the release of 9-year-old Israeli-Irish national Emily Hand on Saturday. Varadkar said in a statement that an innocent child who was lost has now been found and returned, prompting Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen to accuse the Irish leader of needing a reality check and summon the Irish ambassador for a reprimand. Varadkar defended his statement, saying he believed the vast majority of people understand what I was saying, recalling the amazing joy and awe that occurs when a child comes home. Ireland and Israel have had a testy relationship since the start of the war in Gaza, with officials trading barbs over civilian deaths and the Irish Parliament voting down a motion to expel the Israeli ambassador by a relatively narrow margin of 85 votes to 55. Oakland latest U.S. city to call for ceasefire. Oakland City Council has passed a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, joining nearly a dozen other U.S. cities from Michigan to Georgia that have adopted similar motions, U.S. media outlets report. The resolution before the Oakland City Council saw several hundred people sign up to speak at a meeting on Monday, with many wearing black and white Palestinian scarves, the Associated Press news agency reports. Similar resolutions have passed in 3 cities in Michigan as well as in Atlanta, Akron, Ohio, Wilmington, Delaware, and Providence, Rhode Island. In the nearby city of Richmond, an approved resolution calling for a ceasefire and accusing Israel of ethnic cleansing prompted more than 5 hours of heated debate in October. The city of Ypsilanti, near Detroit, also approved a resolution calling for peace in Gaza but rescinded it amid a backlash. U.S. city councils are just the latest arena where intense debates over the Biden administration's support for Israel's war on Gaza are playing out. Israeli forces blow up house of Palestinian man killed in August, Wafa. The Wafa news agency has verified our earlier report that Israeli forces blew up a building in the occupied West Bank belonging to a Palestinian man who was shot dead by Israeli forces in August. Israeli forces surrounded the residence of the late Daoud Abdul Razak Daras and ordered neighbors to evacuate in preparation for demolition. Daras was shot by Israeli forces on August 31, after allegedly carrying out a car-ramming attack in the city of Ramallah that killed an Israeli soldier and injured 3 settlers. Local sources told Wafa that confrontations with Israeli forces broke out following the raid and demolition, resulting in at least 2 injuries. Quds News Network shows Palestinian former child prisoners reuniting with families. The Hamas-affiliated Quds News Network has aired footage of former child prisoners reuniting with their families. Israel on Monday released 33 Palestinian prisoners, including 30 children, in the fourth such exchange since the start of the Gaza truce last week. Ahed Tamimi on Israeli list of Palestinian prisoners eligible for release. The Palestinian activist Ahed Tamimi is one of 50 Palestinian women Israel has added to a list of prisoners it describes as eligible to be released. Israel's Department of Justice published the list of 50 names, adding to an earlier list of 300 prisoners eligible for release, of which Israel has since released 150. Earlier, the Israeli Prime Minister's office said that the list had been published in the event that a release of additional Israeli hostages is carried out. It is understood that the names have been published to allow potential objections on legal grounds and that Israel has not committed to releasing all of the people on either list. Tamimi, a prominent 22-year-old Palestinian activist who was first arrested when she was 16 years old, was last arrested during Israeli raids on the occupied West Bank on November 6. Gaza truce appears set to extend as Israel receives new list of captives. A truce in the Israel-Hamas war appears to be extending into a fifth day as the two sides completed their fourth exchange of captives from Gaza for the release of Palestinians held in Israeli jails. While the Israeli government had yet to officially confirm the truce extension by early on Tuesday morning, Israel's Army radio reported that a new list of captives, who are expected to be released later in the day, had been received. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.